Thank you all for joining. Thank you for this opportunity. Just wanted to talk about principles of product growth, and wanted to give you an idea of what product growth means. There's a lot of definition out there, and then talk about some of the key principles today and share it with you all. And Yeah, to start with, I'm Anand. I've been in product roles for the last 12 years in the tech industry for last 17 years. I wanted to. I worked as a product growth manager and a product growth leader at Facebook for more than 3.5 years. Just wanted to. I learned a lot during that process when I was there. This was quite some time ago, and then I started inculcating a lot of these product growth principles on a daily day basis into my product leadership roles as I'm building startups. I want to talk about that and share all of that with you. Thank you for this opportunity. So going into, I made this presentation a little bit more fun and interactive. So it's easy to understand. It's also fun to learn. So little background about me. I worked. I started at my career at Verizon in product development side. Became a product architect. Then I moved into a couple of fast growth startups inside Vungle. Vungle was eventually sold for 800 million. Then I went on to work at Facebook as a product growth leader, managing growth on Messenger, then on Instagram. Then finally, been building, products as head of product for, a bunch of startups. The first company that I helped build, Grin, is valued at $1 billion today. And I'm currently building my second company, Refersion, and leading product there. On the side, I'm also like advising and mentoring. I have actually 5 startups that I'm in the advisory board for. But other than that, like I coach a lot of people on product and product growth areas as well. So that's a little about me. Going into today's topic, product growth management, and what does that mean? What are some of the principles? So what is product growth management, right? So as you've seen, like some of these Silicon Valley tech companies like Facebook, LinkedIn, and all these companies never spend on ads a lot. They actually acquire users magically through, like through certain aspects of their product and using certain elements of their product. That's foundationally what product growth is, right? They don't want to, like, as they grow their users, they don't want to keep increasing their, sales and marketing spend. They figured out that, and I would say, like, we figured out that as part of fine tuning certain aspects of your product and adding certain elements in your product, that your product can automatically, organically help you grow your users and also use your existing users to talk about your product to get more users. So foundationally, product growth is all about, um, you know, getting more users without the incremental cost of sales and marketing, focusing on the core product elements of your product side. It obviously reduces the cost when you're thinking about growth and acquisition. There's and at the core of it, it also makes your users feel really good, because there's a lot of these things are user focused and making your users feel great about the product. Again, there's a lot of art and science built into it, how we do product growth. Today I'm going to share some of those core principles which you can take it and apply. I believe a lot of the companies here have come here today are startups, which will find it immensely useful. I use these in my advisory sessions as well. Looking into, going further on this one, the first thing to understand is growth experimentation, right? As much as we know, like marketing teams does a lot of experimentation on growth, product teams in product growth orgs or growth product managers, however you want to call them, also do a lot of experimentation, right? We come out with constant experiments. We understand what works, what delivers result. We build hypotheses and ideas. But these hypotheses and ideas are not built out of thin air. There's a lot of principles that go behind it, behind the scene, which rarely people talk about. And I want to talk about those areas which could be immensely helpful to companies. Yeah, to want to go further into that, and I go a little bit more detailed on this area of principles of product growth. Think about this as a framework that you can think for generating ideas, generating hypotheses, and then using these hypotheses to build your experiments, and then seeing how these experiments convert and get you more users, or get you more engagement, or get you more monetization, right? Any growth on any of these levers is how we think about as in product growth. um, Without further delay, I want to jump into the five key principles that I want to share today. There are actually 12 plus product growth principles out there, or at least that the ones that I've seen being used. There could be more as things evolve. Today, I'm going to share, the five strong ones among them. Of course, there's more that we can share. There's only like so much time we have today, so I want to go detailed into some of these areas and how these product growth principles are used, and what kind of case studies and use cases have been built on top of it. Give you some examples, share my own personal stories on how I have used them in helping um, grow the product, get more users without spending a lot on sales or marketing budgets. What I'm trying to say is there could be some sales and marketing budget that needs to be spent, but it doesn't have to be incremental. It doesn't have to be linear. You're growing your users doesn't have to be costing you so much more in sales and marketing. At some point, you need to figure out how do you get this product growth and organic growth built into your product. Um, Going into that, just want to talk about, right, again, the funnel is always there. At product, we look at the funnel in these five areas, right? Acquisition, activation, engagement, retention, promotion, and monetization. So those are like our levers that we think in the world of product management. Again, it's very similar to the marketing funnels. I know the more focus for marketing is on the upper side of this funnel. Again, product looks at the end to end, from the awareness stage where the user is a prospect, and then when the user becomes in the activation mode, they're considering the product, and then when they're really becoming a customer and engaging with you, and then they're coming back to use your product, and then at some point they're promoting your product. Last but not the least, uh, like where you're able to upsell and monetize better with them, right? That is still the same areas. And in each of these steps, we use multiple product growth principles to get more users, building new tools, building more product features, fine tuning product elements within the existing product. And that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to give you, five core principles. If you really master these, you'll be able to accelerate growth without spending a lot on SEO and other kind of optimizations. Those are all still needed, but this is beyond that. How do you enable through your product elements and product aspects? Yeah, that seems exciting. So I want to talk about these five areas. The first one on the awareness side, we call it fish where the fish are. The second one on the activation side, create information space. Engagement side, make it easy, super easy to find value. On the retention side, build for collaboration. On the promotion side, enable and incentivize champions. Not all these principles are applicable.
All right. Hello, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed your break. I'd like to introduce our next speaker for today, Anand Arivukkarasu. He is the VP of Product at Refersion. And today's topic, principles of product growth.
Going further into the principles of product growth, these are the core principles that I said. Again, these principles doesn't have to be applied in these stages where the users are. It could be applied in any given product stage. So I want to go further into each one of them and explain what that means and how different companies have made use of these principles and have had tremendous growth. The first principle is fish where the fishes are, right? So a lot of effort today is being done in getting users to your website, to your app, and experience the product. But think about it in a little different way, right? Why would you spend all the money to bring all your users, all potential users and prospects into your website, into your area? How do you think about bringing your product to where they actually hang out, where their presence is, right? That's called fish where the fishes are. So instead of actually like spending all that money and getting all the users to your website, to your place, how do you enable your product in different places where they can find value in wherever they are already present? As an example, right? think about Chrome extension as an example, right? Where the users are already in Chrome browsing something else, and then you are popping up and providing your value as they go, right? That's one area. I'm going to give you more examples here. First, I wanted to share with you this case study, which will make this even more clear. Honey.io, probably you all know about this company. It's called Join Honey, which is currently acquired by PayPal. It initially was another deal website, coupon website. It had its own website which curated all the coupons from everywhere and was showing it. It again had the same amount of problems to get users to there. Like, I'm a user purchasing a product, then I go to Google, search for coupons, and then I might end up clicking in their sites among 15 other deal sites or coupon sites. So what they did was they reverted that equation. They brought the value of their product directly to customers, creating a Chrome extension. When you currently go to any of the shopping sites and you have their Chrome extension in place, automatically it pops up with all the coupons, and then it automatically applies it to you at the time of purchase, right? So instead of asking the users to come to your website to do things, they brought the product and the value of the product to where the users are present. That actually helped them immensely grow their product. They ran on top of the Chrome's popularity, and then obviously built extension on Safari and other places. That helped them acquire millions of users, in the north of, I believe, hundreds of millions of users, and that eventually made them a several billion-dollar company altogether, right? This simple change that they did, from asking the customers to come to their site to providing the value where customers hang out, has completely changed what they're providing. I'll give you an example of how I applied this principle in one of the use cases that I built. So back then, we had a messenger to business chat at Facebook, where we were building messenger to business. So we were expecting businesses to come to Facebook Messenger, and we were expecting the users to come there to connect with the different businesses, use that as an LO page. But that was not really happening. So one thing we identified is businesses have already their presence in their websites, and users go to their websites, and then they try to connect with the users, try to find their websites, talk to the businesses there. So what we did is, instead of asking the users to always come to Messenger to connect and find the business, we created a Messenger chat plugin, and that became a simple presence that any business can put it in their website. And when users come, they can use their Messenger login to get in. So automatically, we are getting to use the Messenger platform, and it's present where the businesses and users are generally hanging out. So that's kind of like understanding deeply where your users are hanging out, where your target segments are having their presence, and bringing your product there and making them use it. And that principle is used by a lot of companies now. Again, think about Chrome extensions, plugins, different app stores. How do you get your presence there where users are already using certain other things, and you're part of that process? The second one idea, as I said, like, create an information space, right? This is like a lot of the users, and again, this varies by products, and this varies by the type of product that you have and type of product that you're building. The first thing to look at it more deeply, right? All users need some level of information when they're getting activated, right? They want to know information. That's why you create blogs, webinars, and those kind of things. But think about it a little bit more deep. What product level of information can you share it outside? Can you make it available for users at the product level? I'll give you a classic example here, case study. Credit Karma, right? Credit Karma did this earlier. When people wanted to know their credit scores, they had to reach out to certain agencies or apply for it, and then get their scores when they're applying for loans and things like that. Credit Karma did understand that people are constantly looking for this information about their credit card. So what they did is they were able to really do their own math behind it and provide you that credit scoring on a regular basis without you hitting like the agencies and other places to get your score. So people automatically started coming to Credit Karma. So once a lot of people have connected their banks and their accounts to Credit Karma to understand their score, then Credit Karma turned around and said, like, hey, you are using these credit cards. Why don't you use our credit card, right? Build an information space where the user come to know about the information that they're looking for from a product standpoint, and then use that as a capturing funnel for talking about your product, getting more users as part of it. Another good example I would say is IMDb and Amazon, right? People go to IMDb to read reviews, to write reviews about movies and understand the movie space. And then like Amazon really acquired them and connected their Prime videos to that. The moment you are already there browsing about videos, what are the top 10 movies to watch, and all that, you really want to go watch them, and then you have these Amazon links embedded everywhere that automatically takes you into that Amazon experience, right? So create information spaces um, with your product that will be really really valuable and beneficial. Again, think about this: how does this apply to your company, to your product, and get this value out of it, right? And obviously your other things that you do like SEO optimization, other things becomes even more powerful the moment you have like an information wall or information space built around your product. And then the third thing is a pretty interesting one. This in a lot of sense people call it the product led growth principles, which is built around this idea of remove friction to value, right? When users come to your product, you ask them to sign up, you ask them to put their credit card. There's so much steps that you create in the middle between them coming to your product with all the excitement to actually them seeing value in your product or actually them seeing success in your product. That is a big part where a lot of users drop off. Like humans are inherently, they want to get to the value sooner, and instead of creating friction in the funnel, how do you make it super easy for them to start seeing value, right? How do you get to onboard your users in a much seamless way and get to see their first success? The sooner they see that first success, the better it is, because then they're going to talk about it, they're going to promote it automatically, they're going to get be more sticky in your product. So as a case study, right, TikTok is a good example here. What TikTok did is TikTok allows users to watch videos without the need to create an account or login. Let's say I'm watching a TikTok video and this is really funny and cool. I can share the link to someone, and that someone can immediately click to watch the video instead of asking them to, hey, create your own TikTok login, create your TikTok profile, and all the other things. They let you first watch the video, get the value, get that adrenaline rush, and feel excited about it, and then ask you to over time. They know that you're going to come back because they're first putting the hook in there, and then once you're hooked up, then it's easy for them to really add all the details, creating account or creating things. I know it's a different way of thinking. A lot of companies want to create accounts as the key criteria, but how do you break that model and think about providing value first and giving the hook first? And once the users are once the user hooked up, then how do you really help them go to the next stages that you really wanted to use get out of or build that deeper relationship with them? So that's kind of like a very key area. This principle is starting to be used in multiple different ways. Now there are things called magic links. When people sign up, you don't need to really ask them to come back and verify their email and things like that. You can send them a magic link, which can automatically open up the link without sign-in process. There's a lot of advancement that has happened here. Seamless sign up, seamless payments, without removing a lot of friction in that funnel, right? It's something that a lot of these startups, especially SaaS companies, have to constantly think. And this is an amazing opportunity to get more users to be hooked up with the product, and then like come back to the product more often. um, I can talk about this all day. This is something that we constantly look about in any of the products that we build. The other thing, this is a very interesting one. This is called build for collaboration, right? This may not be applicable for all the products, but many SaaS productivity products, this is very applicable. Even creator-based products, this could be applicable. How can you build collaboration as part of your product functionality? Like, I'll give you a classic example, right? Google Docs. They opened up Google Docs, and then the moment Google Docs were there, they were able to like say like, hey, go share it with your friends and ask them to co-edit it, co-edit this presentation, co-edit this document together, right? That's at the core of building for collaboration. So when you build it as part of your product use case, it makes the users to invite other users into your product to collaborate automatically. Those non-users can also experience your product really quick. Another good example is Canva, right? It's a billion-dollar company just built for designers and marketers. They built a lot of these collaboration tools where other people can, even though they may not be a Canva subscriber, can come in, experience it, give comments, or even edit the things, right? So that way you're automatically creating a funnel, where your users go ahead and promote your product directly or indirectly, and then bring the other users to come and collaborate with you. And you should probably make that to be free, at least the first instance when the other users are coming in, without adding hurdles to them. They can come in easily, and then able to collaborate with a simple sign up. And then once they experience the product, you can move them from the prospect stage into a customer stage much easily, right? A lot of the companies, including Microsoft and there's several gaming companies, use this idea of build for collaboration, build for social, this aspect. Think deeply into your product. Which elements of my product can I use it to build more collaboration among colleagues, among people, where they are making them invite other people to be part of that group or that experience. Think about this as a great area for growth. Last but not the least for today, wanted to focus on the last one, which I think like this one is pretty popular in the industry, but I want to reiterate this one as it's becoming more and more important, especially in the world of remote working and everything. Incentivize your users to become champions, right? This was pioneered by Salesforce quite a while ago, SAP, Salesforce, on all these companies, but now it's taking a new form altogether. How do you get your customers and users who are really deep into your funnel, finding a lot of value, to become champions for your product, right? How do you make them? How do you enable tools inside your product where it's easy to write like reviews? Maybe they can easily write a G2 crowd review. They can they can easily talk about your product to other users. A simple a mail that is customized for them that they can take it and use, or like incentivize them by when by actual affiliate revenue sharing. That could be a huge area. I've been working in the affiliate influencer marketing space for the last 3.5 years, building startups in this space. It's a tremendous value to make your own customers your own champions. One, they become more sticky, they become more valuable. Number two, they love to talk about your product when they find value about it. Give them the space, give them the incentive to go do that in a much better way. As a old example here, bringing up Salesforce used to make all their users call themselves Salesforce specialists, right? Once you start using Salesforce over time, then you become a specialist. And automatically, when you move to new companies and wanted to use a CRM, you inherently start promoting Salesforce in those companies, and then people will have started using CRM, Salesforce as the key CRM, right? So that's kind of like how you think about your product, right? How do you think about making your users to become champions? Another example is creating gamification within your product, right? If a user is really using the product really well, and then they're reaching several levels, give them badges, give them some kind of gamification, tokens, coupons, points, things like that, where user becomes more and more loyal. At the same time, they become a champion to go talk about the product outside, and make it super easy in that process to for them to go talk about it. Don't like, I think it's always takes one more push for them to go talk. How do you make it easy? How do you make it more relevant, right? Another example is I know a company that makes webinars with their customers, where the customers come and talk about the product instead of them demoing all the time. The customers are providing the demo, which is awesome because the customers are actually promoting the product in these demos and webinars, instead of the sales teams doing that, which is much more authentic and much more powerful at the core of it, for other people to see that how they're using it, how they're coming about it. Um, I know I shared a lot of nuggets here. These five core principles. There's, as I said, like there are 12 plus of them. I can talk about this all day. Again, we only have a few more minutes left. So in the interest of time, I'm going to wind this up and go next year. Just want to quickly summarize what I said here, and then how you can take these principles and start applying it in your specific products and achieve growth without, putting a lot of uh, money into, it doesn't, you don't have to spend exponential spend for exponential growth, and that's the core of product growth. Just want to summarize that. The key 3 points here to take away are: first is like understand the key principles and build your ideas based on key principles and hypothesis, right? So understand these 12 principles, how they work, how do they apply, what are some of the use cases other companies have used it, what is relevant for you, what makes sense for you, is first you need to come out with, and then you build your hypothesis based on these principles. And then the second step is you build your growth experiments based on them, right? You don't really go productize these ideas and expect things to happen. Really see what's the minimal, easy way. Can I put a simple plugin out there? Can I add a simple button for people to think or share? Can I put an easy information out there? Do people really like to see this information? So kind of like build as you perform these growth experiments and understand how they perform before really scaling it and productizing it and building it as part of your product. And then the last but not the least, always have guardrails in place, and counter metrics and counter measurements. I've seen like uh, places where you introduce a new product feature for enabling growth, but that might affect something else in your product. That might affect engagement in your product, or that might make the user feel very uncomfortable, right? So those are situations you want to avoid. So always build a set of counter metrics that you can look at as you're building these growth experiments, especially on the product side. You got to be really, really careful on how these users are looking at these growth modules, and then how are they reacting to it. Are there any negative effects that is causing? What is the short-term impact? What's the long-term impact? And then go about launching them. So that's kind of like, I would say, like at the core of it, what I wanted to share. Last but not the least, again, thank you so much for this time, um, and helping me share some of the nuggets. I'm writing a book on product growth, which I'm going to talk about all the 12 principles in detail and every aspect of how some case studies and how do you really apply them as well. And then, like, again, thanks to one of the companies that I actually advised today as an advisor in their board, Drawify.com, to help me build these sketches to make these look really fun and exciting. I'm going to pause there to see if the questions. Adam, do you have any questions or any questions that has come up? I'm happy to answer at this point.
Hey, Anand, can you hear me fine?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, great presentation, and I certainly do appreciate that you used very specific case studies, to really hammer the point across. Actually, as I was taking notes, you brought up with TikTok, it's seamless, and there's no need to create an account or login. That is actually a very, very good point about TikTok. And in fact, actually, I've used TikTok numerous times. And on a side note, they have an excellent video editor, functionality to it as well. But what I certainly take away from that is, because it's seamless and there's no
Mhm,
need to create an account, it's like it
mhm,
keeps the users in the action the whole time. So there's no break in the activity, so to say.
mhm.
So
Yep.
if somebody, let's say, likes like a Doge video, the one with the silly Shiba Inu, it's the mascot of Dogecoin. Well, you can
Yeah.
keep going and hopping from video to video to video without
Yep.
having to, let's say, double back and then create an account and then get the
Mhm.
verification email and go through all that. So I think
Right.
keeping users in the action the entire
Mhm,
time is very, very useful, because I think a lot of times if there's like a break, people are just going
mhm.
to be like, oh, I'm going to go do something else. This is frustrating.
Right.
I
Right.
think especially nowadays with like the very kind of really limited like attention span with society
Yep.
nowadays. So keeping
Mhm.
people in the action, I think, is very, very important.
Absolutely.
I like Yeah, and I like how you mentioned with Google Docs,
Mhm,
the very central element of collaboration, and you could almost say in real time, editing and drafting and otherwise, making changes on projects with a
mhm,
team. I think other than the fact that it saves a lot of time, using
mhm,
Google Docs and selecting the permissions as is and having people make the changes. I do think it also in a way enhances maybe you could say the team collaboration spirit, so to say. Everybody's working on something almost simultaneously, I guess, depending on what everybody else is doing. I think there is a
Right.
very positive psychological effect to that when you have everybody in real time and you can see everybody popping up working on different parts of a project.
Absolutely. And it also creates a lot of network effect, right? So I'm using Google Docs for doing this. Somebody was using PP, PowerPoint, or something, and now I'm actually forcing them to come to Google Docs to use it. And now they become a Docs user. So it's kind of like the collaboration and the working on an aspect. But at the same time, now you're getting more and more users to start using the product, and that brings a lot of growth to Google Docs. And that principle is applied now in, like, Canva and other a lot of other tools. And now, like, for example, there is a creator tool where they really want to invite other creators to come and collaborate with them, right? So
Right.
that's kind of like you create like a place where it's a simple tool or simple way. Now that everything is in the cloud, building some instances like on collaboration is not that hard. It could And then understand if this is applicable in your product, and then bring an aspect of collaboration. That means your users are going to be championing and getting more users into your product to build things, and they will invite more people as well.
Right. And you brought up another good point when it comes to
Mhm,
Credit Karma in that case study.
mhm,
Comparison information. Of course,
mhm,
it's always very essential to know your credit score and
mhm,
see if there's any like outstanding debts,
mhm,
any pending liens or current
mhm,
liens. Like all these things are very important. But to add to that, the comparison, I think that is very, very important. That really helps users troubleshoot as far as
mhm,
what they need to do to improve their score. And by the way, I
mhm,
think it also encourages users to, let's say, correct their finances if they kind of know, let's say, what the average credit score is, let's say, in their
mhm.
state or municipality or otherwise community.
Right.
So it adds that extra
Kind of
level
a
of
leaderboard idea, right? You have this
yes, like a
leaderboard.
leaderboard idea. Exactly.
Yeah.
It gives people
Mhm,
that context for either like
mhm.
comparison or even competition.
Mhm.
Maybe if somebody goes on Credit Karma, they get the
Yeah.
full report and they say, "Oh wow, my credit score is 5
Mhm,
points lower than the average." They're
mhm.
really gonna, I think a reasonable person, they're really gonna get on top of it. I'm like, okay, let me go
Right.
fix these other things so I can at least be, kind of in the green here. So I
Mhm,
think pointing that out was very, very essential. And in fact, an excellent point. And I like with
mhm,
honey.io, the theme there,
mhm.
fish where the fish are. That
Yeah.
is so
Mhm,
crucial. And that is so, I think that is so essential to a successful, either, service or product. I think
mhm,
forcing like kind of customers to navigate to a
mhm.
certain point, you may end up losing customers along the way. People
Yes.
might feel it's a little bit too much effort or it's a little bit too much
Mhm.
out of the way or it's inconvenient. They may feel, I think I'm going to look at other things. But with what honey.io did, very
Mhm,
smart to essentially create that ecosystem surrounding
mhm.
the customer. So it's kind of already where they exist.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'll give you an example on that one, right? Because I work in
Yeah.
the affiliate space, influencer space. I built two companies. The first one is at $1 billion valuation. So I think like that space is pretty crowded. Like there are thousands of deal sites, coupon sites out there that you can
Yeah.
just go search for coupons and stuff, right? And then you have to really fight for SEO to be on the top as a coupon provider and all that, right? They changed the game. They said like, okay, I'm not asking people to come to my site doing all this work. Instead, I'm going to focus. I'm going to go to new places where users hang out. Okay, they're already buying in Amazon, they're already buying in the shopping stores. How do I pop up in the middle of that and provide the coupon? Again, it's of value to them, they're going to use it. So that's where they build the Chrome, is the became the number one Chrome extension. There are three companies that followed us. All of them became $1 billion companies, like Wikibuy and all the other guys. So it's a fantastic thing to think about. I think like
Yeah.
Chrome extension is one of those less used things. Even SaaS
Yeah.
companies should be making use of it, right? There's a lot of value to it. That's how I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course,
Mhm.
going to Google Chrome, essentially having, I guess that goes more or less along the line where fish where the fish are, so to say,
Mhm.
having that functionality built into the browser.
Yep.
It's because it's already there and it's not out of anybody's way.
Mhm.
Clients, customers, users are going to always go to it, and
Yep.
and there's not going to be like any kind of break in the action. So yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, these are all excellent points, and I think these are excellent case studies that you
Mhm.
you brought up as far as you know what are, I guess you could say, the finer ingredients that have made these projects, which essentially became very large, successful brands, what
Mhm,
made them successful? And you kind of see how they did things,
mhm.
a little differently, and it worked out. And it seemed like at least the teams behind it, they did they did their due diligence and research, and were willing enough to take a chance with like a new strategy and tactic.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what we call growth experiments, right? We're
Yeah,
almost like pushed to a point, at least like my time at Facebook or previously in other Silicon Valley startups, we're almost pushed to a point where like, what can we do in the product? What can we do different things? Like there's another big case study about Airbnb using Craigslist. I didn't share that use case today because of time. That is called short circuiting the marketplace. What they did was Airbnb initially had a certain amount of supply, which is like they went
yeah,
and signed up 10,000 houses in San Francisco or something. When I was at San Francisco in the middle of all that,
yeah,
a block away from the Airbnb early office. So they once they had the supply, instead of just spending a lot of money to get demand and ask people to download apps, which they did later, they actually
yeah.
took all that inventory and put it on Craigslist. And then Craigslist was the default place where all the demand traffic was going in. They short circuited the marketplace altogether. And then when people clicked on these links, they end up coming to Airbnb to book it. So that's how they got all the initial free traffic. And then they built a lot of customers. And then eventually they built a whole, a multi-billion-dollar company out of that, right? So that's the key, is understanding where the users are going. How do I bring the product in front of them? How do I
Right.
balance the areas, right? That's kind of like the key.
That is awesome. And I have to say, Anand, excellent presentation, excellent case studies, right to the point, really to the heart of the matter. Anand, thank you so much for coming on today and doing this presentation. I found it very, very enlightening, and I think these case studies give a lot of context as far as what works. So,
Yeah.
again, thank you so much.